So we'll go in our module. There is a link. It's called templates hierarchy, and you can click that. This will take you to the page that we're gonna spend our time now just going through this page, and I would really recommend you go home and just do it again, just read it through. This is our site that we said we're gonna love it and own it and all that. It's wordpress.org. That's where everything is documented. Everything in WordPress you want to know about, you can find it here, read through and see how it's working. So here it explains a little bit what template file hierarchy is, and that is basically all it is describing what all these files in our team mean. Which one is it? This one, I think it's the clean one. So we got all these files, so we want to see what is archive.php. What is that file? What is it doing? What is footer page PHP? What are the, I don't know, page PHP, search? Some of them you can kind of guess what they're doing, but how they are actually getting displayed on the site, that's what we want to learn. And you have very in detail here, and we can start from our home page. Before we start, the plugin that we mentioned, did you guys install it? At the first or second class we said we're gonna use this plugin right here, show current template. This is very simple and small plugin. You should install it, because that will give us right here when you're on front end and you logged in, you have this admin bar right here on the top, and then here it shows us, so this is not available if you don't have that plugin. So the plugin lets you see what this page that we are on, it's using, what are all the files from our team folder WordPress is looking at and using to actually create this page and display for us. So you can see my team, I don't know if I should zoom in a little bit. So my team is class tutorial, and so this page, that's my home page. It's pulling up index.php file, but also it's using, you see it says also below template files are included. So it's using footer PHP, functions PHP, header, customizer, template functions, and all this stuff, sidebar. So it might be wow, it's a lot, but it's not that. We're gonna go through and you'll see how actually everything makes sense. Functions PHP, they will always be called on every page no matter what, but we want to focus on this kind of like, let's call them components of the website. So you can I don't know if you guys see here, yeah. So if you can imagine, this is our website, our page, and then for example we have area here on the top, and that's header.php. So our and we can see later where actually we can change those things. We can put header on the bottom if you want, but it doesn't make sense to call it header then, right? There is another file that goes usually to the bottom, and that's footer PHP. So we covered two of those, and then the main content part of the page that WordPress is rendering is, it's called content. Yeah, you can call it content for now, but there are different parts, as you can see here. Template parts, the last one, it says template parts, and then it's content PHP, but it could be called content hyphen something else, and we'll go into that deeper. So you can have different type of contents they're showing on the same block, and then next to it is usually sidebar, whatever, PHP, and we can see that it's being called here on this page as well, right here. So this is very general, kind of just so you guys can have a picture of the WordPress is not HTML file, it's not one file. It's a bunch of files that getting generated through these PHP scripts, and at the end it generates HTML that gets displayed like this. But what WordPress allows us is very easy to change this structure. So we can remove sidebar altogether, or we can put sidebar on the left, or we can put sidebar underneath, and we can remove footer altogether or remove header altogether. So we can do whatever we want. We are not limited to one structure. So let's go back to the handbook. So we will follow their order here. So homepage, it says by default WordPress sets your homepage to display your latest blog posts, and where we can set that is in our dashboard. If you go to settings and then reading, here you see our homepage is set to latest posts, and if we open front page, our latest post is this. It's actually this one, because this is sticky template. We say always go on the top. So our latest actually is this one. You see January 11th. So it shows us the latest post and go on under the other posts. But we can change that to say, okay, we want the static page. So we can select one of our pages and say, okay, I want that page to be front page now. So let's take a look at our pages. There is one called front page. So let's view this page real quick to see how it looks like. So that front page that's all coming from the content is coming from the dummy data that we installed. And this, if we didn't have that dummy data, then we don't have all these pages. We gotta go and create them manually. Right now we have all different types of blog posts and pages and whatnot, so we can see how our team would look like if we had the content. So instead of us generating, just giving us starting point. So this is our front page. So we can go back to our settings, and we can say, okay, I want my static page I want to set static page for my home page, and then I just pick one of the pages, and let's say we're gonna pick that front page. You click save changes, and now if we go to our root URL, to our home page, you see it opens that page that we just selected. So that's one way of setting up pages. So there are two templates for homepage. One is called home.php and one is called frontpage.php. And we see here in the blue it says if front page PHP exists, it will override home.php. And now if we look in our team files and folders, we don't have home, we don't have front page. They're not there in this theme. Some teams, if you download the like already pre-built theme, they might have set up front page for you or home.php for you. We don't have anything here. That's why WordPress it's looking what is next, and it sees the settings that we set up front page, the static page. That's why it's displaying. If we build, and we will in a second, if we build this file front-page.php, WordPress will look at that file, and it will always display whatever it's in that file as your home page. No matter what you set up here in the settings, WordPress will always show that file. So we go back to the front page. I want to find really quick one image to show you. I hope I saved it there somewhere. No, I didn't. We can use the one from here. So WordPress is doing a bunch of logic to how WordPress knows what file to open and what to do. So it starts from There was one better. I don't really like that one, but let's see. So our main file that always default to WordPress always defaults to is index.php, and if you look at the front end, there is nothing else for this page, so it's using index.php, so it's at the beginning of the tree. And then if we have, is that displayed here? Yes. So you see, if we have home.php set up, it will use that one for the home page. But if we have frontpage.php set up, this will be in front of the home. So it's kind of how the way they build this graph is starting from the left to the right. So it's a little bit weird, but so this is those are the strongest templates that WordPress is using. So for the site front page, WordPress will first look at does this file exist in your theme. It says, in our case right now it's not there, so it says, okay, I'm gonna pass, we're gonna skip this part for now. So I'm gonna go and check if there is home PHP set up. It says, okay, it's not there, so then it defaults, you see, it defaults to index.php. So that's what is for homepage, and we can do it, we can test it really quick. So we already tested, we set up like a regular page, and we said, okay, I want that to be my front page, and that's what happened. It used our front page. Okay, so now we want to go back to our latest post. We refresh our homepage, refresh that other tab as well. That's, so you see by the URL, you see that that's my homepage. There is nothing after it. There is no hyphen and then something else. So we're good there. One thing you want to do before you start working with your new WordPress installation is setting up permalinks. So permalinks are stuff like after the forward slash. So when you have your URL of the site, so you want to set up post name, so to look nice like this sample post. If we have it, I think by default it's coming as plain. So this is how our page, one of the pages would look like. Our URL will look like $p equals 123, and that works, but it's not good for, especially for Google, because Google will have no idea what this means. Also for the users, if they look at the URL, it's not really good, it's not really friendly. So we want to, there are some usages for different things, but most of the time you want it set up as post name. So it will use what is called slug, and that is your title of your page, lowercase, and then the spaces are replaced with the hyphens. So this is our sample post, for example, here, and then it's sample hyphen post. So that would be our URL. So you always want to save these changes. So our site, when we open for example, this post, you see how the URL is getting created by the name, the thing called slug. It's user friendly. Google will recognize it. It has a lot of advantages, so you want to use that for sure. So we said we're gonna go and try to, according to this graph right here, if we set up home.php, that should replace our front page, right? So let's do that. I'm gonna open Atom. Let's make it like this, and then we open my MVC class. That's not yes, that's my site. Okay, this class tutorial is my theme that we are using right now, and we see here in the structure. You guys see it well, or if you want, Adrian? Oh, you need power.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Yeah, you have chord in the middle if you want. So you can see here that we don't have home.php, and that's why according to this graph, our WordPress is defaulting to index.php, and that's what is displaying. And let's take a look at that file real quick. It's gonna be a lot at the first glance, but we will start seeing those and we'll get more familiar with. So what from the beginning we can see it says the main template. What the heck? I'm sorry, I'm just this laser, it's kind of the other way of how I understand it. I always hold it like this, actually works the other way. So every time I take it, I gotta turn it. Never mind. Okay, sorry about that. That's something with discussing with myself. But this is the start beginning of that index.php. So what it's first doing, it's getting the header. So this is WordPress function. It tells go and get header.php file, which generates our, let's look at this, right, the little drawing here. So it's looking and pulling up this component right now for us. Just this little function right here, it's calling, it means look for header.php file and then display it. So it's getting displayed first on the page, this component right here. So then goes down and it's regular HTML stuff, right? It opens the first div with those classes, it opens main, and then this part right here, it's called WordPress loop. We'll go over that next class a little more in depth, but this is going and pulling out the content of our posts and pages, and that's just all this stuff right here for now that you can look at. So all the content, all this stuff here, everything that you write when you go to backend, and let's say we have opened this file, so it goes to every post and pulls these things out, the content that you wrote for your site, and this is what it's doing next right here. And then once it's done with all this content, it goes down and pulls get sidebar. That function, right, you can guess it's looking for sidebar.php file, and it brings, so the loop is bringing our main content component right here. That's what that part that I told you we're gonna look at next class. This part right here, this is building our main content stuff. The main content of all the pages or posts depends where you're at. If you're on post page, it's gonna bring the content of that post. If you're on the page, it's gonna bring that content. So this function right here, next, and you see it's closing the divs, so that part is done. So get sidebar is opening this sidebar.php file, and this is right here. So that's building this HTML block for us, and we can go and look at those files in a little bit to see how they work. And then get footer will bring that bottom part of the page, this component right here, and all of those create our index.php, which you see right here. So the code that we saw there is doing all this stuff. So here on the top there is a header, and then it's the main content stuff. Then on the bottom we'll start those are all the posts. So here we'll start sidebar somewhere, and then on the bottom is footer, and we can go and inspect. Those are the Chrome tools, you all know that, right? We went through that last or the class before. While I'm looking up there, see if it's big enough. So here we can see the whole structure of our page, and you can see how it's highlighting in the back. So this is where the header block is, and you can tell from the tags. You can see the header opening right here and closing right here. And we'll go back to our header.php. We said it's getting called by this function on the top, and if we go and open header.php, we can see that it starts the regular, because that's the top of our page. We want to start our HTML, our meta tags, everything that you learned in regular web design class. And then it opens the body tag, and then opens all the necessary stuff, and you can see there is the header tag that we saw in inspector tools. So if you see it here, the header, you can see it's opening right here, and then goes down, and you see where it's closing right here, and then it's opening that ID content and class site content. And then if we look, div ID content, class site content. So this is where our header ends. Header.php ends right here, right? It's opening this tag and it stops. So from there, if we go back to our index.php, from there we can see that index, once it's done with header PHP, it starts the rest of that stuff, and we can see them in the inspector. It starts primary div, which is right here, ID primary class content area, and you can see it here too, right? So all this stuff, and we can collapse the whole thing. This is all that content stuff that I was talking about, the main component of the page. And then it will do, I don't have anything in my sidebar obviously, so if you don't see your sidebar, you can check if you have in widgets, appearance, and then widgets. You see my sidebar doesn't have anything there, so if there is no content in my sidebar, it's not gonna get displayed. So I can put something in, let's put, usually you have search bar there, so let's put the search bar there. And now if I go back, refresh, if I go all the way down, there is the search bar. So this is actually sidebar.php, but we haven't styled our theme yet, so nothing is like structured. Everything is go like one after, so it goes as it called. So first it's calling the header, so this goes first, and then it underneath goes content as long as it needs, and then it goes sidebar because that's the next that we call right there. Oops, right there we call sidebar next. This, come on, this one, sidebar, and then at the end it gets called footer. So really quick, one note, header and footer are very important, because inside the header all our CSS, all our meta tags, like you learned in regular web design classes, right? You need to do the description, the keywords, HTML block, the whole head part, and then the body is opening here. All the functions and style sheets are getting called in header, and then all the JavaScripts usually are getting called in footer. So if we don't wanna, let's say, we said we're gonna create home.php so we can prove that this will actually really work. So now right now we're displaying index.php, but we want WordPress to use home.php template for our homepage. So we're gonna go in our code, and in our theme folder we're gonna create new file, and we're gonna create home.php, and here we can just say h1, yeah, we can do that, just nothing else, just say hi, homepage, save it. So let's go, just check before we look at it. Let's check our readings. It's set as on the default show our latest post on a homepage, and now we refresh our homepage. It doesn't do anything.
Do you need to select static page?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So homepage. That's the difference between from. That's what I was. Thank you. Going to it's front page. Homepage will not replace your latest post. This setting, but front page.php will, and we'll see that in a second. So right now we will select some front page, for example, and then go back to our to refresh our homepage. And what the heck? What I'm doing wrong here again?
It's a much shorter page, isn't it?
It should be.
No?
It should just show us H1.
Yeah.
So let's take a look here. So it says by default, this page is called for the blog post index. You can also set your booklet to display on a separate static page. The template file home.php is used to render the blog post index, whether it's being used as the front page or separate static page. If home.php does not exist, it will go to index.php. So home.php, it should work fine. Mine write the direct team SM. So this should show us our homepage. Come on, the heck? Should call our homepage right here, but it doesn't. Oh guys, Okay, I'll come back to. I'll show you in a. I'm gonna see what's wrong here. I was changing this theme, so I don't know if I messed something up. But let's go and try to see if that other part will work now. The next one where we set front page. So this will always take. This should always take precedence. So if you have that file there, whatever you put in that file template, it should show that as a front page. So let's try. If I'm not gonna mess that up also. Okay, so let's create in our team. We're creating front page.php. Now let's just put h1. So we have that file right here now, and that should. I know what I'm doing wrong. I have to. Just 1 second. It's never gonna work, guys, because I'm not. I'm not showing you the correct. I'm not editing the correct project altogether. I'm editing different site. So we are looking at MVC-WP. So this is the one that we want to change. The whole time I was using different ones, so I apologize for that. So our theme is, and it's the same theme name, so it got me confused. So let's go back to home.php to see how that works. So we're gonna go and create home.php now, and we're gonna just do h1. Let's see what happens here. So you see it called as our home page. It called our whatever we put in this file. So you can do static HTML here, it's gonna work. But what we are missing, you can see that there is no admin bar at all there, right? There is no admin bar. So we are not using any of WordPress stuff right now. We're just displaying simple HTML. And if you want to load all the scripts, but you don't want to load the header or anything, the function for that, it's called WP head. So in comparing to where is the, in comparing to get header that I was showing you earlier, let's open index.php here. So this is what our index.php is opening. Get header. That's the WordPress function that it's bringing the whole that component here, but with the HTML, all that stuff. If you just want to load your CSS, your meta tags, all that stuff that are behind the scenes, you can use WP head. Of course, you can go and read about WP head on the codex, which for every function that we use, you go back and just check it out, read it through really quick what it does. So this should now load. If you load our homepage, this should, you see how it changed a little bit, just slightly? It's because it loaded. If we inspect the element, you see it loaded the whole head section. It loaded our title and all the scripts that we have set up in our WordPress, and then loaded body, and inside the body it just loaded as one simple h1 that we displayed, right? So here now you can write your static HTML page without the body, and I mean without the head part, because we are loading that from WordPress. So that's one way, for example, if you want to do static homepage. But if we go, what we are using home.php, right? And we can go back and look at the image there. So we are using home.php. That's the lowest. It's stronger than index.php, but it's the lowest after others. So if we go now in our reading settings of our WordPress and we say, okay, I want the static page to be my home page, any page, let's say I'll use blog page just so you don't get confused. So I'm gonna say, okay, I want my blog page. What do you think? Will our WordPress use home.php or will show that page? So we said here, if there is index.php, if there is home.php, it will use that one. But the only difference between front page and home.php is in the settings. So home.php will get overridden if we say, okay, I want to show the page instead of latest post. So let's see if that's true. Did I save it? Let's see. So it's not using our home.php anymore, even though we have it, right? We just set it up. It's still saying, okay, I'm gonna honor whatever you said here. But if you always want to use that same front page, no matter what, because these settings might be available for your clients, you give them the site and you give them admin rights, and they go in the backend and they set up, oh, I want to set up this page as my home page, but you did not count on that. You always wanted to show same. If you use front page.php file, it will always be displayed. So let's test that. So let's go back to the regular latest posts, and now our home PHP should kick in. So we don't have the bar right now because I'm only using the WP head to load the styles and all that stuff. I'm not loading the whole header, so that's why my admin bar is missing. But you would trust me that this is home.php because that's what we put in our h1, right? So this is my home.php right here, you can see, and we say dot dot or dot dot dot, save it, go back, refresh. You see, so that's obviously home.php is getting pulled in, but we want now to create front. Let's go back. So we want to create this file, front page.php, and we said, we read in codex that this will override home.php, and also it will override whatever settings we do in the backend. So if we go back and we say, let me just copy this. So we create front hyphen page, page.php. Let's say we don't want to load anything. Okay, so if we refresh, it's front page. So this is pulling out our front page.php. And let's check what I said earlier. So if we do, and when we did that with home.php, this one was stronger. And with front page, it shouldn't be. So even though we have these settings up, our front page should still be front page. So it will never get overridden, right? It's always showing the same page. So this is very, I think, very useful. That's where I always start. I start with my home page. If you go to my stupid website that doesn't have any content there, all it has, it's just and you look, you see it's GoDaddy, right? It's taking forever to load, and it's on my phone at the same time. So all I did here, I just created front page.php, and I did one small function in functions.php, which no matter where I go, it will always bring me back to the front page. So I created one page site. It's not even called site, but it was my attempt to have site ready for you guys, but I didn't finish it. So we'll finish it together. So do you have any questions on the home page and on the home.php and front page PHP? Good. All right, so we covered the first paragraph of this codex page. Um, so this you can go back here and read about again one real quick. The link is in the module 4 right here, template hierarchy. This will bring you right here, and you can read about home page, front page to refresh your stuff. Make sure you edit the correct project, the correct team, not wondering why it's not working like I did. But we troubleshoot, so that's a part of the job. You always troubleshoot things. And usually when you do live demo, something doesn't work. So that's a normal thing as well. So let's go back to the next one is single post. So in WordPress, there are two post types, the two main post types. One are posts and the other one are pages. So we have two different post types that we can create out of box with WordPress. We have posts and pages. Media is also a post type, but it's different. This is when content related. So they can get very confused. People get confused. What is the actual difference between posts and pages? When should I use posts? When should I use pages? So I'll attempt to kind of clear that up for you guys. Posts, for example, this is one of the posts from the dummy data that we installed. Posts can have tags. Posts have authors. Posts have time. They can be archived by time. Pages are more, you can look at pages more as a static thing, and post will be changed, or will be time based, right? Pages are just one page and it's there and that's it. Posts can be time based, and WordPress understands and can categorize them to archive them in the June 2017 or May 2018 or whatever. They can have tags, so you can do in your team on the front end. You can say, okay, on this page I want to show posts. There are only the posts with this tag. So you can say whatever favorite posts, you do this tag right here, favorite or CSS, and you have 5 posts writing about CSS. You tag them as CSS, and then on the front end, WordPress knows to identify them and to group them by tag. Posts have those things. They also have categories. Both posts and pages can be set to be published in a future date. So a lot of writers that do writing on a regular basis, like I know Austin is doing a lot of writing. I don't know if anyone else is doing writing, but usually you don't write tonight for tonight. You write when you have time. You write when you have inspiration, or you find some topic you want to write right away, but you don't want to post it right away. You want your blog to be active every week or every month. Depends how often you write, Austin. Every month or every week. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you're doing 3 posts in 3 days, or over the weekend I have time and I write 2 posts. I don't want to publish them both again right away, so I'm gonna publish one right away, but the second one I'm gonna set it up for April the whatever for 15th, right, or something. And then when that time comes, WordPress will publish your post automatically and it will be available and everyone can see it. Until then, it's in draft or private status, which will keep it from showing. So, and then the pages are more static. Like I said, you can imagine like about us would be page, it would not be post. Contact us would be page. It's one time done thing, and it you see it doesn't have they don't have categories. You can't put pages in the categories. You can tag them. I mean, you can do it, but it's not out of box. That's not how WordPress is working. And then also you can publish them by the date, but it doesn't have author, right? You can bring the author back, but it's not. WordPress is not looking at that out of box. You gotta do some additional things to do that. So those are posts and pages, and we were talking about that because we wanted to see what is single post template. How can we work with that? So let's open one post. So we are in posts and we're gonna open, let's say, this markup text alignment, and we see that it's pulling up single.php file, and it's pulling up again footer, header, and the content stuff and sidebar on top of it. So, and you can see recognize we put in our sidebar, we put only search bar in, so we can see it's being, because we didn't do any structuring yet, it's being pulled like one by another. So it's header PHP, content, then sidebar, then footer. So you see it's bringing the header, which is like about this area right here, and then the whole content of this if we go edit post, we can see the content here, and this is what is showing us. So that there is the content, and then there is a sidebar because we only have search, and then there is the footer, and we can see that when we hover over, we see that it's single.php. It's being called for the main template, and then these additional ones are being used, and they're right now are all the same. Every template will be called the same things because this is how underscore team starts. It's the starting point, and from now on you're changing stuff. So let's see our graph. Single.php, this is where we are right now. So our team already have the single.php, underscores already has that, but some teams they might don't have that. So if they don't have single.php, they will look for singular.php file. If they don't have this one, the WordPress will pull index.php. So let's remove single.php to see what will WordPress do with this post right here. So you see it's calling single.php. This is how it looks like. So let's say we're gonna rename it just to something else. So where is single.php? There it is. We're gonna click rename, and we're just gonna do whatever, number 2, just so we don't call it single.php. Let's close all these things real quick so you don't get confused with those. So see, we don't have single.php anymore in our theme, and let's refresh this, and you see WordPress, it's now calling index.php because it doesn't see this file, so it's calling this one. This one doesn't exist either, so it's calling index.php. In our case, both templates look the same. because it's clean theme, we didn't do anything. But eventually you will change your index.php to have different styles even and different structure, and your single.php will have different structure. So that's how you can start theming your theme in different ways. Right now we're just exploring the files and how everything is. Does everything make sense so far, or it's confusing? Is it all right? Okay. So let's rename this single.php back to the normal. We refresh our page. So it looks the same in our case, but it's calling different template right now. So let's open the single.php file. It's loading similarly to our index.php that we looked earlier. It's loading our header first. It opens the content tags, and then it does that WordPress loop where it goes in our post and brings the content out and shows it. It kind of generates HTML with all the content that we did in this um, backend editor. So here you can use bold, italic, bullet points, all the regular text editor stuff. But how WordPress gotta know how to show that on the front end, and we know browsers are showing only HTML. So that's what this is doing here. It's generating HTML with that content, so it looks the same as we typed it in the backend. And that's what it's doing here. And then it's calling sidebar, and then it's calling footer. So let's go back to this. So the next thing that this way will every post will look this way. It will pull the same. Right now it will pull the same single.php template. It will look all the same, all the posts same. But let's say we want to do this part right here. So it says single hyphen and then post type and then slug. And slug, we said, is this part right here, is the URL lowercase with the spaces replaced with the hyphen. So in our case, this is our slug markup, and let's copy. I could have picked a smaller, shorter name, but doesn't matter. We'll copy it. Let's copy the slug. So according to this documentation, if we create file that it's named single hyphen and then what is our post type that we're doing right now? We're working with posts, right? So post is a post type. It's a little confusing, but WordPress has two main post types, posts and pages, right? So we are working with posts. So this what we have open here is a post, and you can see right away. I mean, it's here. It says edit post. If it's a page, it will say edit page. That's the fastest way you can tell. But you will know your site. You will know what you look at. So according to this here, if we create file called single hyphen post hyphen and then our slug, which is this part right here, then WordPress should pull that file instead of single.php, right? Because that's what it's saying right here. This one, single, there it is actually. These ones we're not going to talk right now, but right here, this is stronger than this. So if we have this file, this will get pulled instead of that. But then it will work only for this post, only for that single post. Whatever we do changes here, it will affect only that one post. Every other post will pull the regular generic single.php. So let's test that really quick. So we're gonna copy the whole. Let's just create the file first. So we have to create single hyphen post type is post, and the slug I copied earlier is that markup dot whatever, the markup HTML tags and formatting, and then .php. And let's do h1 real quick. and say test. So if we go to our page here, we should just see test right now, and that's what we see. But in order to see a regular, we wanna make this to look the same as the regular single. So we're just gonna go to the single.php, copy everything here, do Control A, Control C, go to that newly template that we created, and we do Control V, save. So basically we just copied the same thing. We refresh, and you see the template. It's all that new file that we created. But let's open some other post that it's not this one. Like this one is other post, refresh. It's still using single.php. So now we can go here and we say, okay, I want in front of, let's say in front of everything, all the content that it starts, I want to put h1 and say custom single template. I want this to be displayed in front of the content, but we don't have that in single.php, right? We're only doing it for that one post. So let's see what we got there. This is our custom post template. We click refresh, and you can see it right here, custom single template. That's what we added right there. And then if we go to the regular, some other post, we refresh, there is no, that text is missing now. So we already separated one post from all the other ones, and we can customize it now. We can add stuff, we can delete stuff, and different things. You can, whatever you have your idea for your site, that's what you can do. So what is, that's one way. We also can do it single and then post type. So we can separate by the post type. We can do single hyphen post. This will be called for every post. Instead of the single.php, it will be called single dot hyphen post will be called for all posts. But you want something else for your pages. For example, in your post, you want sidebar to be on the side, so you can show, I don't know, tags and the archives, the timeline. But in your pages, you don't want sidebar to show up at all. Okay, so let's do it. So we can separate it by saying single hyphen post, and then we create another file. It's called single hyphen pages, single hyphen page, and that will separate that from us. When you install WooCommerce, you add another post type called product, so you can create single hyphen product, which will be created for you when you install WordPress. But this will show, because obviously you don't want to show products to look like your regular posts. You know, it's not going to look good. You want the product and then the price and all that. So you create that template and you adjust it that way. So every time you are on the page that it's calling this single hyphen product, WordPress will use that file and generate the content differently. So let's create, for example, we want in our posts to have a sidebar, and on our pages we don't want to have a sidebar, but let's add a few more things to the sidebar. So I'm gonna go to the dashboard, go to appearance, widgets, and in our sidebar we have search, and let's add calendar, for example, underneath the search. Right, so now if we go back, we refresh. So now on the bottom where the sidebar, oh, this one is not even getting there. Front page is still our front page. This one is calling sidebar, should be there. Oh, there it is. It's just not, it's not styled, right? So the calendar is, you see, this is the calendar. It's just spread out because we didn't do any, but this is sidebar now. Clearly you can see that there is a sidebar, and now we want our posts to have this, which they do right now. Let's go to the regular post that we are using the custom one right now. um, let's go to our blog. Oh, that's our front page. um, so this is page, oh my goodness, I gotta go back to some. So this is archive. Let's pick the one that we didn't change. So this, for example, image alignment post, it's using single.php. If we go on the bottom, we can see our sidebar. It's our search bar and our calendar, and that's fine. But when we go to the pages, so we go to the, we open some of the pages. Let's find one, page A. Page A still also has um, sidebar, but it's using page.php content template. So it's different template now. It's the next one in the line that we to finish. We are clear on this because right now we'll use single, and then if we doesn't find that, it will create, it will use single.php, which is doing in the original one, and if this one doesn't exist, it will pull up index.php. It's just almost the same thing with pages, with the one difference that in pages we can create custom template file altogether. Um, and here we can see, to finish our example, page.php is called for every pages. And if we go and take a look at that, excuse me, if we take a look at that file, it looks the same as all the other ones, just because we're using starter theme. So they're all, so this looks the same as index.php and single.php, but we said we don't want sidebar to be shown on our pages. So if we edit page.php, let's delete this one, save, go back, it's using page.php. If we refresh, see the sidebar is gone. And if we go back to the one of the posts, that's page, let's remove that front page really quick so it doesn't stay in our way, because I can go back to the post. It's easier with this dummy data. If I go to the front page, now it's not gonna, so this is my should have, where are all my posts? Doesn't matter, anyone. So the post has the sidebar, but the page, this one, this page doesn't have. So we already separated the structure of pages and posts. So pages have this, and pages don't have the sidebar, posts do have the sidebar. So pages will go over slightly. They're slightly different than posts. We'll skip the number one right now, just to cover this that you're already familiar with. Page, if we create a template called, or file called page hyphen and then the slug of the page, which we can see, let's see, this is the page we edit, this is the slug. My examples are not good. Page A, I edit, so this is my slug right here. Everything after the root URL / and then whatever you have there, and by default WordPress should lowercase you title and replace space with a hyphen, and this is my slug right here. So if I create file page right now, this page, it's using page.php because it doesn't see anything else, right? So it doesn't see, so index is there, but page.php is there, so it's stronger, so it's using this. In our case, looks the same, this and this are the same, but in some teams, they're, in every team they're not the same. So now if we use page and slug or page hyphen id, this will be stronger than page.php. So now again, similar to what we did with posts, we can create template for a single page.